Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mikal, and today I'm going to be talking about my recent solo trip to Mexico City. I work a remote job and I love travel, and I needed a reason to get out of New York City. It is so cold here. Every time I walk outside, my tears are literally streaming down my face because of the wind and the winter, and I'm tired of it. This is my second trip to Mexico City. My first trip, I did all of the touristic things such as Teotihuacan, the pyramids, Coyoacan, Frida Kahlo's house, Centro Histórico, all of the really touristy things I did in my first trip. So the second trip, I was really excited to just work remote, wake up, co-work, go to a coffee shop or two. But I wanted to share about my Airbnb experiences because I just booked a couple of random experiences and they really shaped the rest of my trip. I always mix it up. Sometimes I'll stay at a hotel, sometimes I'll stay at a hostel. I feel like I've kind of grown out of my hostel era, to be honest, but I really enjoyed it in my early 20s. Or if you're just looking for a place to socialize, if you've never solo traveled before, hostels are a great option. But I realized with this trip that I really enjoy Airbnb because I feel like I've created so many relationships. For example, I recently went on a solo trip to Japan in June. And when I was there, I took so many photos, but I didn't really make that many connections because I stayed at a hotel. And that was honestly my choice. It was my birthday trip, and I didn't really feel like meeting too many new people, to be honest. I was really excited to have the solitude. But on this trip to Mexico, I kind of wanted to meet some new people, even though I was there co-working and kind of minding my business. And these Airbnb experiences really gave me the opportunity to, I guess, like in the name, have a new experience, like do something that I want to do and meet people along the way. And I wanted to highlight the activities because I really enjoyed the hosts and I want to give them all shout outs. So the first one is called Enjoy the Finest Cocktail Bars in Mexico City, and it is rated 4.97 with 502 reviews, so I knew it was reputable. The host is Mauricio, and he's so knowledgeable on the bar scene in Mexico City. He took us to 3 different bars. My favorite was Handshake. He said that he actually booked this reservation 4 months in advance, and then he offers these tours on Airbnb, and he kind of just coordinates it in that way. Like whoever books it, books it. But I really enjoyed that experience. So if you're into cocktails, trying different alcohols, trying mezcal, and of course tequila, which are both local to Mexico, I would highly recommend that Airbnb experience. The next Airbnb experience that I went on is called Conquer a 15,000 Feet Volcano. This one had 4.89 star reviews with 827 reviews total. So again, very highly rated experience. These are some of the photos that were available when I looked it up. So this activity definitely says to wear hiking shoes, and I went with my Adidas and they're still a little bit dirty. So I would recommend if you do something like this to wear actual hiking shoes. I did have very, very chunky Adidas. I can actually bring them out 1 second. This shoe is really chunky. You can see it's still super dusty. I need to like brush it and see if it can come off. But you know, there's some grip at the bottom and it's a pretty chunky shoe. So I was like, this is pretty okay for hiking. This is something that I would recommend for folks who I think work out pretty regularly because it's a pretty challenging hike. It's the 4th highest peak in Mexico. Also, I should say that Mexico City also has a higher altitude. So in general, when you're walking, you're going to be feeling a little bit of shortness of breath. When you drink, you'll feel drunk faster. So yes, if you are not actively working out, I wouldn't recommend this because the high altitude on top of the challenging hike may not make this a great experience. And they told us at multiple points throughout the hike, if you are tired, you need to go back now, because there gets to a certain point in the hike where the only way out is through. You need to make it to the other side. There's no going back. I wanted to give a really honest review. I really enjoyed this, but this was also really challenging. But I wanted the challenge, and the views were beautiful and it was completely worth it. The third experience is Las Grutas Tolantongos. So these are natural hot springs in the Mexican state of Hidalgo. So it's actually outside of Mexico City. You have to drive for actually 4 hours. I chose to wake up at 3:30 a.m. because I wanted to get there very, very, very early. Obviously, as a photographer, I want to make sure that there's enough space for me to take great photos, and that's exactly what it was. I felt like I had the opportunity to enjoy the springs with absolutely no noise except the birds and the people that I traveled there with, who turned out to be extremely lovely. The hot springs were 98 degrees Fahrenheit, so oh my gosh, you can only imagine. Mexico City is actually quite chilly, so in the morning to really just, oh my God, relax your muscles in the warm hot springs, overlooking the beautiful nature and the mountains. Oh my gosh, I 10 out of 10 recommend this experience. My host for the hot springs, his name was Fernando, and he was just such a great tour guide. He takes you personally in his own car to the hot springs. He is a native of Hidalgo, the state that the hot springs are in. So he just knows the people, he knows the businesses. He takes you personally through the caves. So after relaxing in the hot springs in the morning, in the evening, he literally guides you through the caves. He's taking photos, and it's just so funny because I remember the people that I was with, all of us were like, wow, you're so good at this. And he was just like, his reaction was like, why are you surprised? Like, I'm from here. And he was just also so generous to share his culture with us. He took us to where we could get pasteles, which is a dish that's traditional to Mexico, but actually is from UK origin. It's kind of like, I don't know if they're called pasties or pastries, but I saw them when I studied abroad in London as well. So we got pasteles. He took us to get local pottery. So I actually have Mexican pottery in my home now. These were 3 different experiences that I booked very, very, very last minute. Like the week of when I got to Mexico, I booked it because this trip to Mexico was quite last minute for me. And again, I was focused on unplugging, relaxing. I wasn't actually going to create that much content. I am very, very thankful for Airbnb. I'm thankful that I got the chance to see different parts of Mexico outside of Mexico City. I'm really thankful to be able to have connected with local tour guides who taught me about their culture, about their region. I'm also thankful for the opportunity to experience Mexico City again. It is one of my favorite cities to be in, at least the areas that I stayed in, because I know Mexico City is so large. First time that I went, I stayed in Centro Histórico. This time I stayed in Roma Norte and Condesa. I stayed there particularly because I wanted to relax. Staying in Condesa and Roma Norte, I want to say, is saying like, you're staying in Soho or Chelsea in New York. You know, it's about the convenience, the vibes. Like if you want to go to a coffee shop or just go shopping or chill, but you're also really close to really great historical sites. It's just a great place to be. I think every time I go back, I'm going to try to stay in a different neighborhood. And this was definitely not my last trip to Mexico City. But when I go back, I probably wouldn't stay in the same Airbnb. I like Roma Norte and Condesa. And again, I think if you are going for your first visit, that's a great place to stay. There's a lot of tourists. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of people that speak English. That's another thing to note as well. You can get by only with English, but I would recommend learning basic Spanish just to show respect. And Spanish, I think, does help, to be honest, especially if you're traveling solo. Knowing Spanish would help in Mexico. But if you're a tourist and you're staying in tourist areas and you're only going on tours that you've booked with Airbnb or a company, English should be fine. I know that on social media, I actually experienced it when I posted a TikTok. Tensions are high between Mexicans and Americans, and I think there's different pockets of the internet with different conversations going on, especially with our current politics. But I will say that as an American, as a woman, as a Black person, I have only experienced people being very welcoming and kind towards me. I should also say that I speak Spanish, and I think that really impacts my experiences because people, you know, you're able to communicate, basically. It makes a big difference. Also, I do a lot of photography and a lot of street photography, and I'm very outgoing, so I'm not afraid to go up to people and just say, hi, what's your name? So yeah, I've only had great experiences in Mexico City. I also do take just general precaution that I take in a city like New York where I live, right? I'm not going to be going out walking around in neighborhoods that I don't know late at night. I'm not going to be waving around a bunch of cash. I'm not going to be wearing a bunch of jewelry if I'm by myself. just thinking and being cognizant of how I am presenting myself in different areas. But Mexico City, it's very cosmopolitan. It's like New York, especially Condesa and Roma Norte. You do want to like be stylish and look cute. I feel like it's a place to like take photos. I actually did take photos. I found this flyer that said hot people only, reach out. And I met this guy, Herman, and he took some photos of me in Parque de Mexico, and those are such great photos. I was trying to end this video and I ended up rambling more, but I love Mexico. I love Mexico City. One last thing also, I love Mexican candy. I love spicy Mexican candy. And I tried, oh my God, I forgot what it was. What's it called? The marzipan, De La Rosa. Oh my God, I tried De La Rosa for the first time and I need to get more. It's so good. I posted a review on TikTok and it just melts in your mouth, and oh my God, I loved this trip, and I hope that if you watched till the end that you will book that trip to Mexico, that you will go solo if you want to go solo. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.